These are 3 tips that are going to help you enormously with front lever. If you can do these 3 things, I think you are on a fast track to unlocking it. Now, I've been very outspoken about what I think the fastest way to unlock front lever is, and it has everything to do with building up your pull strength. But in this video, I want to talk about some additional things that I think will fast track you on front lever, because these 3 things touch on mistakes that I see commonly made. In fact, I got the idea for this video because I saw someone at the gym training front lever, and it led to a 10 to 15 minute discussion about the best way to train it. Now, number 1, I think it's very important to optimize your training for front lever. And common mistakes that people make include going into weightlifting exercises before you do your front lever work. If front lever is your main goal, that should be what you are training first. When you are going to the gym, when you are going into your training session, if front lever is your goal and you want to unlock it, that needs to be your sole focus. And so you should start with your most intensive exercise. And I think in calisthenics in general, you should start your training with your main priority. That should be what you start your training with. And the reason is simple. You have your full energy, your mindset is clear, right? Your body is fresh. And so that is when you're going to perform best. Now, for front lever specifically, I've been very outspoken about training it actually with weighted pull-ups and mostly with strength work, because when it comes to front lever, unlike what people will tell you and what is said in a lot of my comments sections, front lever is not a core movement. Front lever is not taxing on your core. Your core is a stabilizer. It's not involved, but it's not the primary. It's not the primary muscle of engagement. So the primary muscle of engagement is quite obviously your lats. And so when people talk about training front lever for years, a lot of the things they do wrong include doing tucked variations and progressions on a dip bar like this. When I think about this piece of equipment, this is where you're doing your front lever attempts. This is where you're doing your holds. Maybe you're doing some negatives on here. There are a bunch of things you can do. But when it comes to performing a successful front lever, you need a really strong back. You need a really strong pull relative to your body weight. And so your body weight is working against you. So it's going to help to be lower body weight. So I would suggest, if you do need to lose weight, you have some excess fat, losing that is going to help tremendously with front lever, plain and simple. But another thing you can do is really work on strengthening your back, and that's why I've been outspoken about weighted pull-ups. But when it comes to training front lever, if you are at a stage where you are ready to really go for attempts, you're going for straddle, you're going for single leg, do that stuff at the beginning of your workout and don't wait to the end. If you spam a bunch of pull-ups or even do your weighted pull-ups, which I encourage, that should come after whatever you do on this dip bar. So, training optimization, front load with your front lever attempts, whether it be your static holds, right? Because I think you should do weighted pull-ups as your number 1 priority, and rows and things, dynamic back exercises to build strength. But I do encourage you to supplement that training with static holds and assisted work using a band and doing attempts on this. But when it's a supplement, you should actually do it first. So you should do the statics and the assisted banded work, whatever you're doing on this dip bar to get a feel for the movement, whatever you think is in your program, and that's probably the subject of a different video, is exactly what to do on this dip bar. But that should be first, then go into your weighted pull-ups. But when I look at that structure, the most important piece is the weighted pull-ups, because that's what's going to build your back. And so when I post videos like I unlock front lever in 29 days, right, it is a little bit misleading, because it's true, I didn't even know what calisthenics was. I didn't even know what front lever was. I had never attempted it or heard of it. And I came into calisthenics, and from the first day I started training it to unlock was 29 days. But prior to that, I had been doing weighted pull-ups as part of my regimen for 2 years plus, going heavy, right? And so when people tell me, oh, weighted pull-ups, that's secondary to training on this dip bar, I get a little defensive about that. And I definitely don't think that's the case. Most of what I've seen in my own experience is it's all about building up your pull strength because it's all about your lats. Your core is just there to stabilize, common misconception. Now, there's a couple other things that I want to talk about with front lever, because I see a lot of mistakes people make in terms of getting into front lever. And what I see a lot of, and what I was actually doing when I first started training front lever, I spent a lot of time on a dip bar like this. And let's talk about some of these mistakes, okay? So you might be doing your variations on this bar, whatever you're doing, wherever you're at with, straddle, or maybe you're just starting in a tuck. Let's take a tuck, for example. If you're doing tucked front lever on this bar, do not try to advance in your progression while you're in that tuck. So I'll show you what that looks like. So let's say I'm in like a tucked front lever like this. Anything you try to do to advance here or get into a full front lever is going to be extremely difficult. And that's really not how you should get into front lever. When you're getting into front lever, my favorite thing to do is either get into it from the negative, which I'll show you why I like that in a second, or when I get into full front lever, a lot of times I just start like this and I kind of just raise into it like this. Or get into it from the negative. I'll show you what that looks like really quick. And the reason that you want to get into it from a negative is it allows you to basically get into perfect form without a lot of exertion very easily. And so you can maintain perfect form very easily. Going into full from a tuck, I see that so often, and it is so difficult, and it will discourage you, and it makes it actually harder to achieve. And one of the best exercises is going into it from a negative, because not only is that a good way to get into front lever, and if you look at a lot of my early stuff, some of my short form clips, you'll see I did that a lot. I would go into it from the negative, which I really, really like. But it also builds strength. It also is good for a number of reasons. So let me show you what that looks like getting into it from the negative. We hold like this. And by the way, we don't want to be in a false grip, okay? Just be in a standard grip here. And then literally you just go like this, point your toes to the ceiling, and they're probably cut off right now. You probably can't see it, but I'm literally just leaned back. And then I'm just gonna lower like this. And that's gonna be one of the best ways to get into it right there. So that is really, really good and will help build strength as well. So I think those are the best ways to get into front lever personally. All right, another thing, front lever raises are really good, and I can't really demonstrate it here on this bar, but you kind of can. But the whole idea is we want to lead with our hips. A lot of people, right, you see commonly with front lever, people with their hips sagged, and their front lever kind of looks like this, right? And that's because their lats are not strong enough, to be honest with you. It's not a core thing. Again, it's not a core thing. But we want to be, I really do like front lever raise. So think about hanging from a pull-up bar and then leading with your hips. We want to engage our scapula. So one thing you can do when you're practicing your pull-ups too, maybe when you're warming up for weighted pull-ups, that scapular engagement is super important. And so I do see a lot of people in front lever too much like with their scapula not engaged, right? And so we do want to engage our scapula. And so you can practice this just like this. That's what our scapular engagement looks like. And we don't want to go too far. We don't want to be like this. We just want to be neutral. And that's how I am every time in front lever. So we want to optimize our training. We want to lead with our hips into front lever so we can raise into it from a pull-up bar, leading with our hips. So think about it like a hip thrust. You want to thrust your hips. So when I'm in front lever, by the way, here's another way to think about front lever. I think about front lever as like, it's a performative act. You could, even the best at front lever can only hold it for like, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Like that's elite, okay? And so it is a very energy intensive exercise. So when I see people messing around on the bar doing these progressions, it's gonna take so much out of you so fast. So whatever progression you're on, attempt it first thing in your training with max energy and get everything right. Lead with your hips. Don't start messing around on the bar in your tucked variations and try to extend your legs. This is not gonna work. So when I get into it, it's very fast and I'm immediately engaged. And so here's another tip to help you fully engage everything is to point your toes. I see a lot of people that they don't point their toes. And so what pointing your toes does is it helps activate the entire chain of your body and keep your entire body flat. So if you really want that straight looking, perfect front lever, point your toes because it'll look better, but it'll also help you engage everything. So including your glutes, which is super important as well. So when I'm in front lever, it's very energy intensive because everything is engaged, everything is flat. So think of it like you're pulling out a bazooka in terms of your energy, just going all out. That's how you want to think about front lever. And so even now, I've already done my workout today. I've already done front lever. I filmed a video earlier. I'm completely burned out, so I'm mostly just wanting to share these tips with you. But let me do a quick attempt so I can show you kind of what I mean here with kind of full engagement. And let's go into it. And I'm gonna lead with my hips. So I'm gonna lead with my hips. All right, here we go. So, that was like RPE 9, maybe could hold like a second longer, but I try to go for just perfect form, and it is a hip thrust. When I'm in front lever, I have my hips thrusted. I'm not, sagging at the hips. And so if you're sagging at the hips, it's because you don't have a strong enough pull, so you need to work more on your front lever, and it's not because of your core, which you might think. But pointing your toes is really gonna help you keep that straight line. So, yeah, guys, front lever is not an easy skill, but if you have a weightlifting background like me and you focus on your pull-ups and your pull-up strength, that is really gonna help you. Because just think about it. If, let's say I'm right and pull strength is the #1 factor when it comes to front lever, if I'm right, what's the best way to build a stronger back? Is it messing around on this bar doing tucked progressions and doing holds like this? No, obviously not. Statics are not gonna create hypertrophy in your back like pull-ups, like weighted pull-ups are. Okay, this is a dynamic, heavily loaded back exercise that's gonna help you build your back. And a lot of people will say, oh, well, it's not the same movement pattern, and what about the SAID principle? I believe in the SAID principle, but I actually created a study using artificial intelligence to scrape sources across the web. I think there were more than 70 sources, and the study concluded that, or the research concluded that while training statics is important for beginners, if you are starting from a place where you do not have a strong pull, you're hopeless at achieving front lever. You need to focus on building up your back strength, building your pull strength first, and then start filtering in some of these static and banded work and whatever you want to do. But I see too many time lapses of people over 2 years using bands on a bar like this, messing around, when they haven't even done weighted pull-ups or anything to really build that back strength. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. The 3 tips are training optimization, train front lever first, go in with high energy, do your best attempt first, give it everything you got. You're pulling out a bazooka in terms of your energy. #2, lead with your hips, get into front lever the right way, raise with your hips or get into it from a negative. And then #3, point your toes, guys. Engage your glutes and have a neutral scapula. So those are some of the nuances that people don't talk about quite as much with front lever. I do hope this video helped you. A couple other announcements I wanted to make. I know I have not made a YouTube video in a while, so let me know if videos like these are helpful. Please do hit the like button, subscribe. I'm gonna try to get more into the flow on this YouTube. And then my podcast, I actually started a podcast about a month ago called The Unlock, where I'm just bringing on a new guest every week to discuss their journey and all things related to calisthenics. So I'm gonna link that channel as well. Go subscribe to that. The conversations I've had so far are really interesting and fun, and some pretty big people are coming on the show soon. So definitely stay tuned for that. And yeah, guys, please drop a comment. Let me know if you think I'm right, if you think I'm wrong. What's the best way to train front lever? I think front lever is my strongest skill. Obviously, I'm completely burnt out right now, but full energy, I can probably get a 10 to 12 second hold. And if I didn't have other priorities out there right now, if I optimized for that solely, I could really go crazy with it. But yeah, guys, hopefully this video helped you. If it did, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next YouTube video.